Pompey Sound, your hourly update from Fratton Park, sponsored by Piglet's Pantry, the home of award-winning and handmade food on the South Coast.
Now, here's a name to conjure with. This is a central midfielder that Pompey are believed to be keeping an eye on. What's that name?
Nectar Triantis, the Aussie, was mentioned as a potential midfield recruit in a central department, where Pompey need to focus a hefty amount of recruitment energy this summer, though Triantis has often played as a central defender. The 22-year-old had a strong season on loan at Hibs in the Scottish Premier League and was nominated for League's Player of the Year, but there's Pompey reservations about him being able to make the grade in the Championship. A permanent return to Hibs seems most likely at present. So, Nectar Triantis, great name. It is in fact short for Nectarius. He's of Greek descent, born in Australia, a large family. Their father tragically was killed in a fire when Nectar was 8. I mention it because it's true. He ticks a lot of boxes. He's young enough. He's Australian. At 6'3", he's obviously a presence in midfield. He tends to prefer to play defensive midfield, but he can get forward. He's got a reasonably distinguished track record club-wise, playing Australian A-League football, as did two of his brothers. So good DNA. Before Sunderland came in for him, our Sunderland. I put it like that because they've got a Newcastle out there in Australia and what have you. So our Sunderland bought him for $300,000. And loaned him to Hibs, where he was noticeable. So I guess the measurement that the recruitment team are having to make is how much daylight is there between the football that Hibs play and the level of football that Hibs play and what Pompey are looking for next season, which is players who are able to play at mid-table and above Championship level. Nectar Triantis. This from the official Portsmouth FC website. Pompey women can confirm that the 2023-24 season was the last for the under-23s team, as the club worked towards a professional game academies licence, which will be applied for in the summer. The PGA pathway aims to enable and support the transition of high-potential players aged 16 to 21 into the first team, while also making the game in England more diverse, accessible and inclusive. The Blues under-23s setup has been in place since 2020 and has produced players such as Freya Jones, Jess Smith, Grace Jarrett, who have all made first-team appearances. They won the FA Women's National League Southwest Reserve section in 2023, before finishing as runners-up in the following 2 seasons. This also means that under-23s head coach Molly Small will be departing the club. She joined the club ahead of the 2022-23 season and guided the Blues to league glory in her first campaign, before achieving 2 second-placed finishes. We would like to thank Molly and her staff for their incredible dedication and effort while at the club.
Yeah, we will echo those words of gratitude to Molly Small for a job well done. We must also remind ourselves that Pompey women are streamlining, sharpening, polishing, professionalising their act, and it seems that they are part of the bigger picture, and so they should be, but they aren't everywhere in women's football, part of the biggest picture in the club. But Pompey have got some strong voices on the board who are championing the women's game. The United States of America probably is the seat of the greatest wave of enthusiasm for women's football. And our owners and their wider family are playing a bigger and bigger part in the Pompey women's life, and they've got ambitions for Pompey women, and it looks as though they'll be playing more and more of their games at Fratton Park, and that is some part of the reason why they've decided to improve the pitch at Fratton Park, because it's going to be getting a little bit more wear and tear as a result of that, which all goes to show that they have ambitions for the women and that those ambitions are taking us in the right direction. So credit to Jay Sadler, who has recently been anointed with awards and indeed has a huge fan in Jurgen Klopp. And it don't get no better than that. Do it, Jay. Well done, mate.
Lincoln City are preparing to strengthen the links between themselves and Pompey by bringing in Denver Hume. The Stacey West reports he moved to Portsmouth in January 2022, penning a 2.5-year deal, but struggled to fully establish himself in the third tier. By February 2024, he dropped to League Two with Grimsby Town on a short-term deal. After doing enough to impress during the run-in, he earned a fresh one-year contract in June 2024 as the Mariners looked to rebuild. He was a key part of their playoff push. Hume's strengths are attacking, crosses, overlaps and dead ball delivery. He created more chances than any other left-back in League Two and was in the top percentile for successful crosses and accuracy. Defensively, he's solid but not elite. The one weakness being aerial duels. That said, with aerially dominant centre-backs in place, you can afford an offensive fullback. At 26, he's not a project. Hume would walk into most League One teams and, importantly, he wouldn't require a transfer fee. The biggest obstacle would be wages and competition. His pedigree will attract suitors. But if we want a ready-made starter who improves us immediately down the left, Hume's name has to be near the top of the list. At one stage he had more assists than any defender in English football. Firstly, if we've picked him on a list, then there are factors we, or rather Chris, has seen that make this likely. We need an oven-ready left-back, not a project. We need one with a proven track record, which he has in League Two. Ideally, League One experience would be handy, which he has. Crucially, with him being out of contract, there's an attraction there as well. However, a lot of teams are going to be fishing in free agent markets, and of those teams, we're likely to be at the lower end of any wage scale. That presents an issue, but it is an issue I would imagine we have broached. I know nothing from the inside as people often believe, but seeing us linked with Hume today does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, we found that piece on an organ called the Stacey West, which serves Lincoln City. It's nothing more than a considerable coincidence that Pompey have these links with Lincoln City, which are almost too numerous to bother mentioning now. But, names jump into your head, don't they? Rags was there. We got the Cowleys. They were there, had strange success there. We've got Regan Poole now. They've got Rico at the moment, and we've shared Scully as well. Now the possibility that Denver Hume, who, I don't know about anybody else, always looked as though he was very close to being a very polished performer. But I think the feeling was perhaps he couldn't scrap it enough, something along those lines. But he's a good act, and as that piece, written by 1.5 football journalists on the Stacey West, must find out what that means and refers to, were saying he's oven ready to improve their attacking options down the left. So good luck to... we always wish all our ex-players good luck, don't we? Unless they pop up, of course, and bite us in a fixture. So good luck to Denver Hume. Just one thing I just want to shout about a little bit, and that's I'm starting to get fed up with people referring to League One as the third tier. If you're not going to say League One, call it what it is and what it used to be for 100 years, and that's the third division. That isn't usurping the whole notion of the Premier League and the Championship and League One and League Two. If you're going to call it the third something or other, call it the third division. Why tier? Where did that come from? Who decided, look, we can't call it the third division, otherwise, I don't know, the Premier League and the Championship might send some heavies round to tell us that it's not commercially viable or valuable to call it the third division, and it's old hat or something like that. Well, I'm going to start going back to calling it the third division. I've had it with this third tier nonsense. They don't call the Premier League the first tier, do they? I have heard it called the top tier, which is ridiculous. Again, it is the first division, and League One is the third division. It's not the third tier. I'll shut up now. I think I've got a good point, but it's not worth milking it. Until the nipple is raw, if you can stand that metaphor being so badly mixed and indeed such an unpleasant image.